You ever get that feeling that somewhere in the past we peaked, that we made something so perfect we've basically been trying to get back there ever since? Well, today we're going to talk about a time when art, technology, and culture all fused together to create something literally perfect. And I'm not talking about some famous painting or sculpture. I'm talking about the lost golden age of coins. Yeah, you heard me right. For 1,500 years, when it comes to this one incredible art form, we've actually been going backwards. I know, that's a bold claim, but just stick with me here, because I'm going to prove it to you. So here's the big one. This question right here, it's the kind of high-stakes question you might see on a really tough civil service exam. But for us, today, this is our central mystery. This is what we're here to solve. How in the world was the art on these ancient Indian coins so mind-blowingly good? And more importantly, how could something that perfect just vanish and never ever come back? And listen, we're not just going to admire the problem. Oh no, we are going to solve it. And I've got a simple, three-step formula that's going to crack this whole case wide open. First, we're going to uncover the genius. Then, we'll witness the decline. And finally, we'll reveal the culprits. You with me? Let's do this.
Okay, let's dive right in. Step 1, uncover the genius. You see, to really understand what was lost, we first have to appreciate just how insanely good it was. So we're jumping back in time to the Gupta Empire in India, between the 4th and 6th centuries, to see the absolute peak of coin artistry.
So, what was their secret sauce? What made these little pieces of metal so special? Well, for starters, the artistic skill was just off the charts. This was not just stamping some boring flat face on a coin. No way. The Gupta artists were basically master sculptors, but their canvas was the size of your thumbnail. They brought their kings to life in dynamic action poses, drawing a bow, charging on a horse, even wrestling a lion. The anatomical detail, that sense of motion, it was totally unheard of at the time.
And then there was the technical mastery. I mean, these guys were not messing around. They used pure gold for their coins, called dinars, which gave them this flawless finish and a really precise, standardized weight. Their whole minting process was so advanced, they could pack in these incredibly fine details. I mean, just look at the graceful lines of the Ashwamedha horse, or the divine elegance of the goddess Lakshmi. This was the high-tech of its day, for sure.
And finally, you had the cultural depth. These coins were so much more than just money. Think of them like tiny little billboards, pocket-sized propaganda that told a story of power, religion, and identity. You had elegant Sanskrit inscriptions, royal symbols like the Garuda bird, and beautiful cultural touches like peacocks. Each and every coin was a perfect little snapshot of Indian art and culture.
For centuries, this was the standard, an incredible fusion of art and technology, a true golden age. And then, it just stopped.
So we've seen the top of the mountain. Now for step 2, the decline. The golden age ended, and as we move into the post-Gupta period, the art just starts to fade away. The real question is, what did that actually look like? What was lost?
Well, the change was dramatic. It's like night and day. You go from the Gupta masterpiece, pure gold, lifelike portraits, complex designs, to the aftermath. Suddenly, the quality of the metal just tanks. The portraits become these crude, almost cartoonish figures. All those intricate details are gone, replaced by simplified, rough stamps. That standard of excellence, the uniformity that defined an empire, it just evaporated.
And that brings us to the final and most crucial step, unmasking the culprits. Why did this happen? How could this art be lost forever? Well, it turns out it wasn't just one single thing. It was a perfect storm of 4 deadly factors.
Our first culprit, political fragmentation. Think about it. The Gupta Empire was this massive, centralized power. It had the authority to enforce a single, high standard of artistic excellence across all its mints. But when the empire collapsed, so did that central control. It was replaced by this patchwork of smaller kingdoms, and that unified artistic vision was shattered for good.
Culprit number 2, a massive economic downturn. The whole era after the Guptas saw a major decline in trade. And, it's simple math. Less trade means less wealth. And less wealth means rulers can't afford to be using pure gold, and they definitely can't afford to invest in the best artists and the best technology. The economic engine that fueled the Golden Age had just stalled out.
Now this one's maybe the most tragic. Our third culprit, the artists themselves disappeared. See, those incredible skills of the Gupta mint masters were passed down through these highly specialized guilds of artisans. With all the political and economic chaos, these guilds just dissolved. The patronage dried up, and an entire generation of irreplaceable knowledge and sophisticated technique was just lost to history.
And our final culprit, a simple shift in priorities. The rulers who came later, they just didn't care as much about the art. They needed coins for their economies to function, for sure, but their focus shifted from quality to quantity. For them, a coin's job was to be money, not a masterpiece. Artistic merit just wasn't the priority anymore.
Okay, so we've gathered all the evidence. We've seen what happened. It is time to put it all together and deliver the final verdict on our original mystery.
So here's the solution. The genius of Gupta coins wasn't an accident. It was the product of a very specific perfect storm. You needed a powerful unified empire, a booming economy, those specialized guilds of artists, and a culture that valued art. When that empire fell, the storm passed, and the formula was broken forever. The pieces could never be put back together in the same way.
This is exactly why the experts, the numismaticists who study coins, don't just call it a great period. They refer to it as the golden age of Indian coinage. You see, it wasn't just a high point, it was the peak, the absolute summit. And from there, everything that followed was a descent, a lost perfection that, to this day, we can only admire from a distance.
So, what do you think? Kind of makes you wonder what other perfect things we might have lost in history without even realizing it, right? If this story made you look at the change in your pocket just a little differently, hit that subscribe button. We uncover more mind-bending insights just like this every single week. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.